Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome to the second online Wimboard Institute training. I am Foluke Alakija, the chairperson of the Wimboard Institute Committee. Let me give you a brief on who and what we are. Women in Management, Business and Public Sector, WIMBIS, is a non-profit organization that has over the last 19 years implemented programs that inspire, empower, and advocate for greater representation of women in leadership positions in the public and private sectors. WIMBIS launched Wimboard in 2012 with the aim of increasing the representation of women on boards. The Wimboard Institute has been designed to provide world-class and cost-effective learning hub for diverse women in sub-Saharan Africa that want to take a seat or already have a seat on a board. In partnership with the IE Business School of Spain, Wimboard Institute offers a 3-month comprehensive board training. In addition to this training, the Institute started running board trainings in Nigeria for board-ready women in the private and public sectors and for business owners from 2019. This year, due to COVID, we have pivoted to running the trainings online exclusively. The training calendar for 2012 will be circulated by the WIMBIS Secretariat early in the new year. It will include an array of topical and germane subjects that would be of immense benefit to you. Please do not miss out on participation. Our facilitator for today's training is Mr. Emmanuel Ikazaboh, Fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, a non-executive director of Dangote Cement PLC, and the immediate past chairman of EcoBank Transnational Incorporated. He was my chairman. With over 35 years experience in senior management roles in Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, and South Africa, Mr. Ikazaboh is one of the thoroughbred professionals in Nigeria and indeed Africa. He was the managing partner, CEO of Deloitte West and Central Africa until 2009 and was appointed by the Securities and Exchange Commission as an interim administrator to carry out capital market reforms of the Nigerian Stock Exchange and the Central Securities Clearing System PLC. Mr. Ikazaboh has served on various local and international boards. He is currently the only African board representative of the International Institute of Sustainable Development in Canada and serves as the chairman of the Audit and Risk Committee. He is also the chairman of ARM Pension Managers Limited, and currently the managing director of Hedonmark Management Service Limited. A UK certified accountant, he holds an MBA in Financial Management and Marketing from Manchester University's Business School. Given his vast board experience, Mr. Ikazaboh has the best fit to do justice to the topic, mentorship versus sponsorship, role in board placements. I know that he has put a considerable amount of time and effort into preparations for this training, and I'm sure you'd gain a lot from his wealth of experience. Thank you, sir, for accepting to facilitate this training on behalf of Wimboard Institute. At this point, I would like to declare the training open. Please be attentive and learn from it. Thank you.
Well, I guess I'm supposed to come in at this stage.
Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share some of my experiences with the WIMBIS. And I would like to also ask all participants that this is going to be an interactive session, because we are all trying to ensure that we understand what we're doing. We want to gain all the experiences we need and prepare ourselves for career as board members or as senior management in the various organizations where we are. I also hope that at the end of this training session, you'll be able to completely transform your career, develop yourself for board portfolio, or complement your executive functions. So I will like, can we have the objectives displayed, please? Slides. However, we have a Q&A box. We have a Q&A box for all participants because we are all going to be on mute except myself. And you put in your questions in there so that it can be responded to, even while this session is going on. If you need any answer or explanation or clarification, don't hesitate. Just put it into the Q&A box and it will be responded to immediately. So the objective of this course basically is to, as listed here, to understand the role of mentoring versus sponsorship in board advancement. A number of us, I'm sure, are also on boards. We also want to ensure that we develop our skills and improve on our participation in the various boards we are in. We want to understand the key barriers to the advancement of women on boards. We are going to address that. Understand the key differences between mentoring and sponsorship coaching, and coaching and sponsorship, the functions each play for women on boards. And then we want to understand how to create or key into mentoring or sponsorship opportunities for advancements to boards. The fifth will be to develop a better understanding of your various objectives of each of the relationships and how to measure the success. And then understand how you can take advantage of mentoring and sponsorship to advance your career. And finally, understand what roles you have to play to ensure you achieve your objectives and advancements. Next slide, please. Now, the agenda will be as follows. We're going to have a 1-hour session in which I'll go through all my own experiences and thoughts on each of those objectives as enumerated earlier. And then we'll go on a 15 minutes break, following which we're going to have a practical session on the mentorship and sponsorship, followed with a case study. I understand the document has been circulated to all you, the participants, after which we will answer some questions which have also been sent to you. So what we're going to do in this session will be, instead of in groups, individuals would have prepared their responses or their answers to some of the questions. And if you want to share your answers, you indicate, and then we will then read them out, make comments, and then see how we all interact and ensure that we all have the same answers to the questions as indicated. Thereafter, we'll then have a general Q&A session, and then the conclusion, and then we'll then finally be able to answer any questions or comments or further clarification that any participant may have had that has not been answered during the course of the session. Next slide, please. So for the lecture, what I have done here is to list out how we're going to go. I'll go with the introduction, talk about the roles each of these, the mentors and the sponsors play, why women will need sponsors or mentors, the key barriers to the advancement of women on boards, the important attributes a board member must have, how to key into mentoring or sponsorship opportunities, and then that will then lead us into our break and the practical session and the case study before we now go into our conclusion. Next slide. For the introduction, what I've said here is a board appointments, which is the major objective of this training, are potentially life and career changing. In fact, statistics have shown that people that have board directorships, in addition to an executive role, have better networks and connections. So this is why we should all strive to get to executive roles and develop more network and connections, which will help us to be more visible where board directorships are being considered. They are also able to future-proof their careers better, have more successful retirement, and weather unexpected career changes strongly. There are literally a number of boards operating in a number of industries across Nigeria and Africa. Each board operates within its own context and has various peculiarities unique to it. It is difficult to decipher exactly what boards might be looking for in a new board member, because depending on the industry, depending on the function or the skills they are looking for, and depending on the country, because what is expected in Nigeria sometimes is not the same thing as expected in South Africa or in East Africa, or even in the Francophone West African countries. But however, we should not be under any illusion that finding a non-executive or advisory board opportunity is a very difficult thing. Furthermore, gaining a board appointment is a highly competitive process, as there are far more candidates than there are opportunities. Finding board vacancies is a challenging and time-consuming process, but historically, personal network, developing relationships and friends that could, tap you on the shoulder and say, do you really want a position in this organization, because they have relationships in those organizations? Or if you have good relationship with HR consultants who are normally engaged to headhunt for suitable candidates, those are areas in which you can get board appointments for whatever industry or country you want to work on the boards. I say this because what we have from practical experience have shown is that if you're on a board in South Africa, the dynamics of boards in those countries is completely different from the dynamics on boards in Nigeria. Yeah, except, of course, also, if you're in a foreign board, the dynamics are also different. But there's only one common thing, and that is your ethics, your integrity, your honesty, your commitment, and your skill. That means if you're on a board, they expect that you should be very committed. You're a board, you read your board papers. They don't expect you to come out to be on a board and you just come to board meetings not fully prepared. They want to be able to know that when we have you on board, you'll be able to contribute and make a difference. Furthermore, preparing a board CV, because that's completely different. It's not normal CV. You need to have, there are certain aspects of your skill and experience that will be expected on a board CV. At the end of this session, we'll talk about that and talk about how to prepare a board CV. Having said that, so let's get started. Next slide, please. Now, I just thought we should just look at what general thoughts are on mentoring and sponsorship. Mentors talk with you, they advise you, they work with you. Sponsors talk about you, so they talk about your future, they talk about you, how out there in the boardrooms or in a group where people, leaders are talking about, trying to get people into their fold. So sponsors talk about you while mentors talk with you and advise you and work with you. Mentors help you to skill up, while sponsors help you to move up because they look for opportunities out there for you. Mentors give you perspective, while sponsors give you opportunities. I just thought that this should be a general guideline before we go into the nitty-gritty of what a sponsor or a mentor should be doing for us, or what you as a sponsor or a mentor could also be doing for others. Next slide, please. Now, a sponsor is someone who uses his relationship capital on your behalf and advocates for your next promotion to a higher role. He does at least two of the following: gives career advice, which also a mentor can also do. So we're talking about a sponsor here, but a mentor can also give a career advice. He makes connections outside your company. He advises you on your appearances. The reason being that, you see, if you want to play a senior role or you want to be on a board, appearance matter a great deal. First impression is very important. So we got to be very careful to ensure at all times, we shouldn't just say it is when we are looking for those positions that we will make our appearances look good. You never know. It is most obscure places you think is not an area where people are going to be looking for a senior person. That you get there, you are not well dressed or you are not well behaved and things, and then you find that when your name is being mentioned, someone will say, I met this fellow somewhere, and therefore I do not think that's the type of fellow we're looking for. So appearance matter a great deal, and your sponsor will be talking to you about that from time to time. And you also as a sponsor will be talking to your sponsee on that. Sponsor connects you to career opportunities because as soon as he finds opportunities, he thinks about you and finds how he can get you key into such opportunities. It promotes your visibility and it makes all the connections to senior leaders because he is also a senior leader and is always in the same meetings with them and try to create that connection for you. And he expands your perception of what you can do. So at least two of these attributes that I think that a sponsor will be out there doing for you. Now, who are sponsors? Next slide, please. Like I said here, sponsors are powerful backers who, when they identify or design talents, they anoint them, they go all out to support them. And get it clear, not all sponsees or know who their sponsors are. You could just take a liking to somebody and you just think that this fellow needs to be supported. So you may not have a very visible sponsor, but it's good to have a visible sponsor, but it's not all the time a sponsor is visible. They inspire, they propel, and they protect their protege. And they lead them through the booby traps and traits and risks associated in upper management politics. They are senior, powerful people who use their personal clouds to talk up, advocate for you, and place you in a more key role than you are as a junior person. So that's one of the roles of the sponsor. And the sponsor not only promotes you or the charges, they also will protect, because they have put their capital or their reputation on the line in trying to promote you. So they will also have to protect, prepare, and push you or them or whoever they are sponsoring all the way to the top. Now, a sponsor has 3 primary responsibilities. Next slide, please. He believes in you and he goes all out for you. He will use his organizational capital, both publicly and behind closed door, to push for you, for your promotion and for you. He will provide you or provide the protege with cover where there are issues that might affect he or her promotion or her promotion, and be able to either provide that cover, which is in most cases is needed if you are going to move into a top role in an organization, because there are many people looking at those positions. So there are various risks that you need someone who will cover up and protect you. This is why one of the primary roles of the sponsor. However, the difference between a sponsor and a mentor, you find that a mentor is someone, he has the knowledge and will share it with you. Whereas a sponsor is a person who has the power and will use it for you. A mentor works with you maybe in the same organization or in the same industry, whereas a sponsor may not be working with you in the same organization, but has relationships within your organization, outside your organization, which he can use for you. Mentors provide advice and support their protege. However, sponsors spend their personal capital advocating for their protege, and in most cases, they have to be bullish about it if they really are committed to ensuring that their protege gets what they want the protege to achieve. They stick out their neck. They'll put their name next to her performance, giving all the support visibly. You can mentor and coach someone who is awful, and yet you find that the fellow will get to the top, because if you give the right mentoring to the person, he'll be able to achieve what he or she is supposed to achieve. Get one thing clear: a mentor can also be a sponsor. There are many reasons why having a professional mentor or a sponsor is a very good idea. A mentor can give you advice and also guide you to make sure that the advice, you are adhering to those advice. Where you feel stagnated in your career, the mentor is there to help you to find out why you are stagnating and what you need to do to resuscitate your career path again. It will help you in navigating the office politics. Sometimes there are politics specific to offices which you may not, because you are not in the group, you may not understand what is going on. Whereas if you have a mentor, a sponsor who is within that group, he will help you to navigate through those political booby traps that are, stalling your career. He can also be an advocate for you. Now, you need to ask, to ask someone to be a mentor, a sponsor, is a very big deal. This is why it is recommended for people to think carefully before selecting someone as your mentor or sponsor. A sponsor or a mentor does not just appear. You may be there working so hard, but you might need a mentor. And if you do not ask for it, then you find that you may not be able to get or achieve what you want to achieve in your career path. However, what normally happens in practice is people specifically request for someone to be their mentor. And some even make it formal by either writing to somebody they've identified, they think is good in the industry in which they are in. A mentor may not necessarily be in the same office with you, in the same company with you, but maybe through social media, LinkedIn and things, you've seen somebody who has all the skill, the experience for the industry you're either in or aspiring to be in, and you want to get the fellow to be your mentor or your mentor. So you have to send a formal letter requesting for the person to be your mentor. However, before you do that, you have to be a bit careful. You want to be sure that the person has the potential, he has the interest in your career. You've been able to identify that the person has the knowledge of the business or the position or the career path you want to achieve, and the fellow has gone through that path too, and therefore will be interested in helping you. Now, you should also share your ensure that he shares the same professional knowledge with you and has the knowledge and experience that you are looking for. But if the person fits into each of these conditions, you have to then determine what is your goal. The goal is to build on these positions. And you have to structure your relationship, because we found out that women, especially very hardworking women, find it very difficult to want to ask for a sponsor or a mentor, especially if it's going to be a male, so that it is not misunderstood. And therefore, that makes them chicken back and decide not to even want to request for the fellow to be a mentor. Most women that have achieved in their careers, it's not because I'm a man, but have achieved it because they have a male sponsor or a male mentor. Because at the top of the career, you have more men there, and people gravitate towards the agenda. So the men there will rather be driving for a man rather than a woman. So if you do not show your interest in wanting to be mentored or to be sponsored, they may not be in a position to want to go all out for you. So, however, to build that relationship, your relationship with such people should be properly structured. So when you are making a request for a mentor or a sponsor, you should think about the goal you expect in the relationship and how to structure that relationship to get to what you need to achieve from that mentor or sponsor. What you need to do is think deeply, prepare a structured letter or a document. If it's somebody you are already familiar with, you can seek an appointment, a 10-15 minute discussion conversation with him as to what you want the fellow to do for you. The goal could be you want him to help you with communication style, how to get your promotion, help you with your leadership skills, or advice in how to move your career to the next step. Your mentor must be made, what you expect from your mentor must be made clear upfront when you are trying to approach somebody to be your mentor or your sponsor, so that it is clear what the goal is and what the relationship is going to be. So basically, a structured relationship should be such that even in the course of the discussion, with your sponsor or mentor, in your letter you are going to send to the mentor, talk about timing, because you want to make it look professional. Talk about the timing. Can we meet once a week for 1 hour, 30 minutes? The schedule to determine what time is your schedule and things. So if you are talking professionally that way, you make it clear to the person that the relationship is going to be clearly professional, properly structured, and therefore you'll be able to achieve your goal. You can even set your time limit within which you think you should be able to get the sponsor help you achieve your career goal, which you want to achieve. Research have shown that having mentors increases the likelihood of promotion for women. However, if you in the slides going forward, you will see where we discovered that where the men and the women get into a career or an office or employed at the same time, the percentage of men that progress after 2 years is higher than that of women, either because by the time during the entry level, the women are there doing their best. When they get to middle management, they are thinking of marriage, and therefore either getting married and trying to start building a home. And the men, because they are married, need to also move up so that they're able to take care of their home. By the time they get to senior management, the percentage of women that get there are reduced while that of men increase. And then by the time you get to executive role, the percentage reduces further. But if you are able to have a mentor that will guide you and see you through, and also have a sponsor that will be pushing your case, it makes things better. Now, next slide, please. I have put 3 names here deliberately because these are women. Let's use the first one, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. You see that even as educated, accomplished, and experienced as she is, she still needs to have a proactive backer to get top position wherever she wants to be. The same thing with Kemi Adeosun. She needed, we put Kemi there because as finance minister, the issue that made her lose her job, the same issue affected a male who was communications minister, but the man retained his job while Kemi left her job. And this is because the man has more men up there that protected him, while Kemi, being the woman, because maybe she didn't have a strong sponsor, maybe then decided to just leave. In the case of Kufuor-Olubi, I put that name there because when Kufuor-Olubi became the chairman of UBA in the 90s, it was big news. We have people who are not as who were not as experienced, educated, or accomplished like how men who were chairman of board, it meant nothing. But just because she's a woman, it was big news. The reason is because most of them will need powerful backers. And as much as possible, mentorship or sponsorship is very important to help them navigate through the playing field to be able to get to the top positions where they had to get to. Same thing with many women in our society today. But things are changing because I can see that many of our women are really pushing hard. If you look at the industry today, we are having more women coming on board, but the percentage is still very, very low compared to other countries. Now, in the next slide please. I was talking about the ratio of women that drop off as they move higher up in the organization. You find that at the entry level, we have more women, about 53% of women are employed with 47% men. By the time they move in 2 or 3 years to the middle management, you find that while the men increase to 63%, you find the women go down to 37%. Like I said earlier on, they now start trying to build a family and build a home. Now, by the time they go to senior management, the research shows that men, 66% of men get to senior management, while that of the women is down to 34%. It becomes worse by the time you get to executive and board roles. Here you have 79% of men and 21% of women in those roles. This is not good enough. And that is why in some countries like Norway and some other countries, legislations are being put forward as to the minimum percentage. And this is where we need to push with our regulators like the Stock Exchange, the SEC, and the National Assembly to have a law as to the minimum percentage you must have for women, so that will force these organizations or industry to either train the women or look out for women that can fit into these roles. Well, now the next slide will show you the percentage from the other research that has been carried out for women on boards. The first one is just women for employment into various organizations. For women on boards, for Nigerian companies, when you look at the Nigerian banks, the highest percentage of women on Nigerian banks, when you have that 40% there, it's just 2 banks that have 40%, 2 out of nearly 25 banks in the country. And I think Wema is one and one other bank that have almost 40% of their board members as women. All others, the best we got was 30%. On the average, was only about 20% of the women. And in some banks' boards, there are no women. Also, for the listed companies, you have 56% of the listed companies, you have at least only 1 woman on board. Whereas also for NSE listed companies that have no women on board, it's about 32% of them, no woman on board. Whereas in the other one earlier on, you have companies that have at least 1 woman, just 56% of them. So these are all the things we must be, WIMBIS should put together a strategy in how to improve women to move into executive role. However, I think the culture of our environment sometimes impedes the advancement of women, because of the role they have to play. They have to keep their homes and things. In that country, there's no reason why we can. Now, barriers of women on board. Next. Doris, next slide. Now, what are the key barriers to the advancement of women on boards? Majority of ambitious women underestimate the pivotal role sponsorship plays in their advancement. Not just within where you are currently, but throughout your career across the industry you're operating in. You need a sponsor. Now, women who even understand and grasp the importance of this relationship capital also fail to cultivate it effectively. Many feel that getting ahead based on who you know is inherently unfair, because women, some of them just feel, look, I don't want to play dirty. I don't want to start using sponsor to get to the top. They think by hard work alone you will succeed, which is true. Don't get me wrong. Hard work can also get you there. But from research, we've discovered that you need only about, say, 30 to 35% of women get to the top through hard work. So get a good mentor or a good sponsor so that to improve your hard work is good. It's very important. You will see that when we are looking at activity, what role hard work plays in projecting a woman. Thirdly, women avoid sponsorship because it could be misconstrued as sexual interest, especially where it involves highly placed men. This is why, as I said earlier on, if you want to get a sponsor and you want to ask someone to be your sponsor or your mentor, think through it properly. Make sure the person has the right skill, he has the knowledge, he has the experience, has got the relationships, and you should make it clear upfront what the relationship is in terms of how you structure that relationship. It is not, I'm not saying you should go there and say, look, my relationship with you is not, don't think otherwise. I just want you to see it as professional. No. The way you structure it is to say, look, I need your help in this area and that area. I know your time, you don't have the time because you're a very busy person. But if you can give me 30 minutes of your time a week or monthly, give me 1 day a month so that we can meet and discuss my career. So the fellow sees it that it is professional. So this issue of being afraid that it could be misconstrued does not even arise at all. Now, the other issue is, next slide, please. A woman's private choices. Next slide. A woman's private choices. Whatever they may be, invariably brand her as not quite leadership material, especially where they are married with children. The superiors will be, their superiors and would-be sponsors will presume that they are less available because of family matters. They need to be home. They have to take care of their husband. They have to take care of their children. They have to take care of their home. So the sponsor is afraid of risking his reputational capital, sponsor somebody that may not be dedicated to the work as it would be expected, or will be less flexible. And but you need to be able to show that you are not one of those, because a sponsor, you find that even your colleagues that have sponsors are not as good as you. Big mentor and a sponsor that will strategically position them. Whereas you are busy working like a bulwark, trying to show that, look, I finished my jobs quickly and things. But you have to work smart rather than work hard. Now, people tend to gravitate to those who are like them. That's what I was talking about, gender. Up there, you have more men. We can see from that research and from the graph that more men move up there than the women. So you have more men there trying to gravitate, protect or sponsor or mentor more men to bring them up there. And so this increases likelihood that, powerful men will sponsor other men and advocate for other men when leadership opportunities arise. Now, what are the challenges to getting board appointments? If a woman has even gotten to senior management position, there are other challenges that she has to face again to get to the board. I have listed here just some of my thoughts, like unrealistic expectations. Sometimes when we want to get board appointments, we must determine what type of skill and experience that is required to get into those boards. And the only people that can tell you that are those who are within the board. So, and if you do not have a mentor or a sponsor that is within the board, you might have all the expectation that you are good and everything you want to be on the board. Yes, you might have those skills, but the skill they are looking for is not what you are projecting. And therefore, you find that you cannot understand why you are not being considered. So you need to be able to know what are the skills that are required for you to get into the board. In a board, you can find in a board that they have, maybe you are an accountant or a lawyer or an IT person. And in the board, they already have 3 lawyers. They already have 2 accountants, but they're looking for an IT person. So ideally, they will not even consider it because they already have your skill, your knowledge, your profession, and your experience. They have other people who are already on the board. They cannot, get rid of them because of you. Except, of course, after 3 years, like they do rotation. But even then, it's not that easy. So you need to know what are the skill, experience, and knowledge that a board requires if you are targeting a particular board you want to be in. To know what skill you need to have and how to position yourself. When you want to get a role in a board and you want to position yourself, you got to be, and you want to talk to maybe the chairman or to a member of the board or those who are key shareholders of that organization. You are not going to be talking to them as if you are seeking for a job. Because the moment you do that, then you are belittling yourself. You are not looking for a job. Instead, in talking to them, you should be talking about the help you can give to that organization. That's what people want to hear. You need to be telling them what you think the organization needs, how you can help them achieve it. You are not looking for a job, but because you can help them achieve it, it is for them to now see that we need you. Don't play cheap and show that whatever position you get, you deserve it. You did not beg for it. Second, having no appropriate connection. Like I said, having the right connection with people in the industry that will make an impression when they are mentioned during an interview or in your application. You need to have the right connection, have the right people who you can mention in the course of your interview for board position, or in your application. In your application, you have them as your referee. So when they see such names, it goes a long way in looking and making you appointable and makes the journey easier. Now, using a regular CV in a board application does not help. A CV for board is different for a CV, a regular CV for application to a senior position in a company. You need to prepare a CV, a board-ready CV. And we're going to talk about that, what should be in those board-ready CV. But the board-ready CV should emphasize your governance experience, strategic executive experience, having much higher success rate than those candidates, that are submitting their regular executive CV to a board. So you need to look at, there's no really a clear template for a CV for a board. But depending on the board you want to go to or that are looking for you, you then structure your CV to meet what they are looking for. It is not just having a CV and you think the CV may not address the key issues that the board may be looking for. Don't forget that for every board, the first thing is what will you be bringing to the table? How are you going to help to make the chairman's job easier? So those things have to be taken into consideration when you are preparing your CV, which you are going to send in. Next slide, please. Next is not having the right qualifications. The right governance qualification will carry weight in your board search. Do a lot of work as well. If it's possible, attend governance courses. Participate in governance issues in your organization. It will not only demonstrate intent, but also qualify you and provide another layer of value in a competitive environment we are all in. The regulators talk about governance all the time. You must be seen as someone who is an advocate of good governance. Now, the next is the other challenge that in getting to boards will be no demonstrable passion. You must show passion for the role you are going for. It's very important to the chairman or the chairman of the board or the governance committee that will be interviewing you. Now, like if a funny type of question will be, why of all boards you could have applied to be part of? And first, did you choose? No. Why? So I think there's something. Why of all the boards you could have applied to be part of, did you choose this board of ours? Now, to respond to this during the interview process or part of your written application, you must demonstrate that this is not just another shot in the dark. Like I said earlier, you are not applying for a job. You are applying to come and help. You identify what the issues are with the organization and the skills and experience you have that can solve those issues. That is what the chairman wants to hear or see in your application or during the interview process. Not being prepared for a board interview. A board interview is very different from an executive interview. To begin with, What are the synergies between what you have done in the past and what you currently do and what is required of you for this board position? That is a typical question that will be asked. You should be able to reconcile or show how all you have done in the past and what you are doing currently can help the organization or the board you want to go into, address some of their challenges. You should be able to identify what the challenges are, what are the issues and things, what skills are you what are you going to put on the table? So it is not just hoping that, oh, I know the chairman and I know board members, then I will get this thing. No. Or I know the key shareholder. But at the end of the day, what the board needs is help. Every board wants to be able to run seamlessly and have the right people working with them. Next slide, please. We will now address what are the attributes a board member must have. High moral and ethical standards. That is not, there's no compromise on that. Because if you do not have high moral and ethical standards, it will show within the first year of your being on the board. Second, great sense of accountability and high level of commitment. You must make sure that the fellow reads his papers, gets on the board, will be able to make contribution. He's not just there to listen and then at the end of the day, any comment, no comment. That means even if there is no comment, at least show that you have read the paper. Even if you have to re-emphasize what is there by showing that you understand what it is all about. And think of alternatives and show that you have some level of commitment to that organization. It's very, very important. That is why board positions are not places for leisure. It's a place for hard work. Because it helps you understand the business. You must understand the business you are in and then know why you are there and there to help management, because you should be working in sync with management so that at the end of the day, the shareholder value will be improving. Thirdly, you must be able to exercise independent judgment. This is very important. That is why in most cases, you are not management, so you are non-exec or independent non-exec. Either way, you are still an independent. Therefore, you should exercise independent judgment and look at things dispassionately. Do not let, you should be seen that you are able to go through all your papers, and because management in developing their board papers, in some cases from experience, can just give you a large booklet to make sure you cannot go through everything, because it's only the conclusion and what the prayer they have. But if you've not gone through thoroughly and be able to understand whether those prayer they're asking for is something you can independently, pass a judgment on, then it means you are not doing your job as an independent director. You have to be creative, innovative, and be a team player. Very important. Like every man or woman, well, mainly with women, sometimes we are emotional in our judgments. Therefore, being a team player is very important. If you have a situation in a board in which you do not really agree with majority, but it is not going to affect the business, neither is it going to affect your principle or what the policies of the organization, what the policies and the principles of the organization and the values of the organization are. There is no reason why you should not play along with majority. However, if it's going to affect the values of the organization, the values and principles for which you stand as well, for which that made you even join the board, then you can then say, okay, look here, I think I could be a minority in this decision. But as much as possible, it's good to be a team player and be flexible so that you can achieve the outcome while being willing to consider options from other people. So this is why in boards, it's good to have an open mind, but even in doing that, you must be prepared to say, okay, look, what are other options? Even if I don't agree with this, come up with other options yourself that will be a win-win situation for the organization and still achieve what you want to achieve. We should not be seen as being passive or just follow. Otherwise, you will not get the respect that is expected of you in the board. We must be positive and have a proactive mindset. That is very helpful at all times. Next slide, please. Now, the staying power to be calm in the face of pressure. There will be occasions in which you have pressure, in which you find there will be tension between one group of the board and the other group. And in most boards, or some boards I have been where you have some ladies, you find that the ladies play the calming role in bringing, reducing the tension in the board. So that staying power to be calm in the face of pressure is very, very important. And for a woman especially, because you have that tendency to be calm in such, because I was told those days when I was younger, that when there is crisis in the home, the man is, first of all, is the firebrand. When the crisis becomes fire, real fire, the man runs behind. It's the woman that now faces it and brings, coolness to the whole family. So this is the role we expect women to play, and that is the role they've been playing, most of them on boards. So the calming role is important, and that staying power to be calm is very crucial. Great confidence in yourself, in your knowledge, and in your skill. You must exhibit that at all times. You must have great confidence in yourself. And this confidence can only be exuded if you do a lot of research, you have read your papers, and you know what you are talking about. Strong interpersonal communication, analytical, and time management skills. Strong interpersonal skill is very important, because in any board, you will also be looking at the body language of the people, know where people stand, and know how to manage, and know where you think you can make a contribution that will carry the board forward. Even having had that, you need to know how to communicate. You can see that when I was talking about mentorship, there are people whose goal is how to improve their communication style. You can also get a mentor who will help you to improve your interpersonal skills. Analytical and time management skill is something that you can do yourself. And then that is ensuring that you are able to do a lot of reading, analysis, statistics, and things. And time management is, especially in boards where you are in the committee, you should be able to manage your time. And well, situation where when there's a board meeting that is supposed to be at 9 o'clock, someone comes in at 9:15, 9:30, is not good enough. It does not portray the person as being committed. So time management is very important. Financial knowledge. To interpret financial reports and evaluate the financial implication of an action or decision. Not everybody will have the financial knowledge. However, at least you'll be able to know when there is profit or when there is a loss, and ask questions so that the CFO or whoever has financial knowledge there will be able to lead you through in a language you'll understand it. Financial implication of every action. We should not be insistent. Sometimes you find in boards where people will want certain actions taken, not considering the financial implication of those decisions or actions. And that is where we have to do a proper evaluation when we want to push for an action or a decision. We should also look at what will be the financial implication and the overall effect it will have on the company. Keeping abreast of global issues. When we are on boards, it is not global issues as it affects the industry in which you are on the board, so that you see the implication of these global issues on the business in which you are serving. So you must keep abreast of global issues so as to ensure that you are able to make good contribution and guide management, whatever they are doing, and understand when they come forward with suggestions into the future, and then be able to say the effects global issue could have on any decision or strategy we are putting in place. Next slide, please. Now, here, what I've just done here is just to mirror what the type of relationships are, from mentoring through coaching and to sponsorship. Like I said earlier on, for mentoring, you have skills development, you have somebody who you gain knowledge, you have new thinking, you have a mentor that is guiding you, developing your skills and helping you. Then you have someone who is coaching you, and that is especially coaching you in the terms of soft skills, interpersonal skills. We talked about interpersonal skills and the other skills we talked about earlier on. You need a coach sometimes. And then for sponsorship, for your career development, and you look at each of these relationships and be able to arrange or strategically create relationships to address each of these stages in your career development. And how to key into mentoring and sponsorship opportunities. Next slide, please. Now, how do we key into mentoring or sponsorship opportunities? Now, we should bring complementary talents to the table. That means, that can expand the sponsorship capacity to deliver, open doors for you. That means, you want to get somebody, when you're looking for a mentor or a sponsor, like I said earlier on, you want someone that has the skill and the knowledge, and you have identified whether he has the experience, he has the network, he's known in the marketplace and things, so that he can make a valuable contribution and help you to develop your career. Now, if you It will help you open the doors to new networks and markets and contribute a valuable management style to the team. So what we are saying here is that whenever there's these opportunities, develop your own talents to contribute so that in the course of contributing to the network, others will see you as a potential for a higher role in the organization. It is only when you do that that other people will talk about you wherever they are. Have more meaningful interaction with senior leaders as compared with your male peers, because your male peers have meaningful interaction. The senior person needs to get to know a potential, because if you want a senior person to push your case or to project you, he needs to know you, and to know you well enough to vouch for you. And the only way is to have more interactions. But like I said, always make sure it is a strategic relationship. You know what the goals are, what you want to achieve, and ensure that you identify the sponsor or the mentor that can help you achieve that goal which you want to achieve. Take advantage of salient dimensions such as gender, which increases the likelihood that powerful women will sponsor and advocate for other women when leadership positions opportunities arise. So that when you have a woman that is on the top there, take advantage of that position. And if you are the one there, take advantage of the position you are in to sponsor other women to get to those leadership positions as well. Seek to be in line position. That is now, when I say in line positions, it's not just any role you must be seeking to be in. You want to strive for a role that has a P&L responsibility, so that the organization can see that the function you are running, there is a profit coming out of it. You have your own P&L, they are seeing that you are contributing to the bottom line. You don't just don't look for a role that is a staff role, a communication role and things, because they do not see any profit that comes out of that. That's intangibles. And you find that more men are being put in the P&L role, whereas women can do the P&L role to show that they are making more profit for the organization. So drive to be in roles that will give you P&L responsibility. Next slide, please. Now, your success is defined less by specific tasks and more by getting others to come together to execute those tasks. Do not, you see, don't be a loner trying to just bury your head in your own work and just believe that I've done mine, and then think that you will be able to, you will be considered when it comes to executive role. You want a role where other people are part of it, you end up being the leader. Drag in people so that tasks that you participate in tasks and which will contribute to the overall growth of the organization, and strive to be a leader in driving that task, working with people from various departments and units, so that you are seen as the star that is coordinating and bringing people up. Seek out powerful people, cultivating their favor and cash in on the relationship. If you look at our case study, you see the powerful Margaret Thatcher was always cultivating, when she was in the university, getting the leaders of the party to come and give a talk and things, and she was always there to make sure that she is part of the entertainment, to talk about them, be part of those that will entertain them and things. You find that you must identify, seek out powerful people within your industry, not only in your organization, within your industry. And you have to set your sight on the right person. First of all, ask yourself, who do I have to get in front of to prove I'm worth their time, their effort, and their credit? So this is why your goal is important in determining who that type of person is that you want to get into relationship with. Achieve your goal. Make sure the relationship is professional and you are respected. Finding, cultivating, and consistently leveraging powerful alliances offers women not just a career advancement strategy, but an opportunity to practice, refine, and make visible their leadership potential. Next slide, please. Women's tendency to collaborate rather than compete and their inclination to make everybody a winner rather than risk incurring dislike can actually garner them the relationship that will lever them upwards. However, please do not think that you shouldn't take risks. Do not think that if you're trying to garner people and build a relationship that everybody is a win-win situation. We are in a competitive world. So you might be able to step on toes sometimes, especially if it's in the interest of the organization, in the interest of making your job look good in the eyes of your superiors. If people are not going to work and respect what you want them to do, sorry, let me use the wrong word, you kick their asses and move on. So you must be conscious and be deliberate in applying these skills, but always ensure that you have a goal and you know what you want to achieve. Extensive informal networks are so important that if they do not exist, create them. In creating them, you'll be able to focus early. You find that, you create them to be able to be focused on activity early enough so that you have a major leadership initiative. If you do not do that, try as much as possible, especially when you get to middle and senior management, start trying to create extensive informal network. In the global arena we are in today, relationship matters. However, all relationships should also be strategic. Therefore, at the end of the day, what is important is that we must work hard, be committed, have a goal, and again, you are all women. I assume that we have all women in this as participants. Pray that you have a husband that is also going to ensure that he supports you in driving all this. Now, that is going to take us to, the next slide is going to talk about our practical session. In this practical session, we're going to go on 15 minutes break. However, during the 15 minutes break, I will expect each participant to identify 5 people as mentors and as sponsors, and then prepare message for 2 messages, one to the mentor or sponsor, and an appointment later that you want the person to be your sponsor or mentor. And then we can then discuss these messages and make comments during our practical session. After we've finished with that, we will then go ahead and then look at our case study and review all the questions and answers in the case study. I assume you will have all read it and have your own answers to the questions. I do not expect that we'll all read out our answers, but only those who are interested in reading out their comments or answers to the questions so that we can make comments and discuss them. So that takes us to the 15 minutes break, which we are going to take now. And then after which we will then proceed on the case study after the 15 minutes break. But any questions you have, even during this period, could be put into the Q&A box so that we can answer them when we are back. Thank you very much. Right. We can start now. And we will start with the practical session before we go to the case study. Now, I'm sure a number of us would have identified the 5 mentors and 5 sponsors. And for those who would like to read out their messages so that we can all make comments, we can do that. Do we have any? Okay, participants can raise their hands so that we can know those who will want to. I don't seem to have the full. Bukola Oladapo.
Yes, good afternoon.
Please.
Good afternoon, and thank you for an insightful session. All right, so I have identified my sponsors and I've put together a note that I would like to send to requesting for sponsorship. So I have, dear Mr. M, I trust you are keeping well. I respect and admire your accomplishments and most especially your influence within the sector. I would like an opportunity to discuss my intentions to join the board of a particular organization, and I would appreciate your support as a sponsor to help me achieve this goal. I know you have a very busy schedule, but would appreciate an initial 30 minutes, probably over the coming weekend, to meet with you and have an initial discussion. And I hope to have other subsequent touch points thereafter. I thank you for your audience and look forward to your response. Regards, Bukola.
Thank you. Good. Now let's treat Bukola's own first. First of all, Bukola, I think in writing such a letter, first of all, your name, you have to state who you are, what experience you have in writing to your sponsor or mentor, what experience you have, because you are talking about a board you want to, you are considering being sponsored into. But you have to be able to state your name, your experience, what jobs you have done now, and then why you think this sponsor, you've mentioned that anyway, you've talked about how, what you think his skills or his experiences are that will help you. Because he doesn't, unless he knows what experiences you've got and who you are, I'm not sure the message would have gone smoothly to him. So I think the letter is good, but I think you need to be able to explain to him what your experiences are, and so that he will know whether he can actually help you to such a board. And he will then be able to advise you as to whether you should consider that board or whether there are other boards he will be looking at for you.
Okay.
Like I said earlier on, don't forget that in most boards, you might have a board you are targeting, but you may not have, and the skill you have may not be what they are looking for. So that's why we talked about this thing, expectations have to be something you consider, whether you are ensuring that you have the right skills and experience that is being sought after by the board.
Thank you. That's noted. Thank you.
Margaret Njok Adesoya. Hello, Margaret.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Margaret.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm greeting good evening because I'm in Nairobi, Kenya. First of all, I'm sorry. My grandchildren are at the background. I've been trying to keep them quiet. They can't go away, and
Yes.
my battery is running low. So I'm in a place where they have to be too. So please bear with me, everybody. I'm
It's
really
okay. It's
sorry
fine.
about this.
It's fine. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. And well done. It's been a wonderful session. A lot to learn, a lot to know about. Okay, let me go straight up into what I'm supposed to do now. I wasn't able to identify 5 people as my sponsors or mentor, but I have 3 people that I think are quite helpful for now. Number 1 on my list is Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika. Number 2 is Chief Mrs. Nike Akonde. And of course, our case study, Baroness Mrs. Margaret Thatcher. I have a reason for choosing her, even though she's late. In my growing up as a child with that name, Margaret, I exhibited some characters of her person before I even got to know her, read about her, and today we're talking about her. I have chosen them because of their strength of character, irrespective of their backgrounds or what they read in school and how they came out, and how they were able, on their own merit, able to drive their points home and become who they became in life, including Mrs. Awoshika, who is still breaking the ceiling like, Kilode, if I may use that word. My message for them will be, hello, ma. My name is Mrs. Margaret Njoka Desoya. I would like to have a meeting with you so as to ask you to be my sponsor, mentor into any board that is available and under your rulership, as it were. I hope I can have an audience of 15 to 30 minutes with you, so you'll be able to put me through to see where we can take it from there. I'll be grateful for your time and attention. Thank you. That's all I would like to say to them in my message, to whoever it is that I will have to meet eventually. I'm done.
I said, fantastic. It meets the key issues that have to be raised in a letter for a potential sponsor or mentor. The other thing is that we need to be able to emphasize what we want to achieve, so that the mentor or sponsor understands what our goal is and knows what is helping us to achieve. That's a clear description of the guidance, requesting the person that you are requesting the person, what you are seeking the person to assist you with. Very well thought out before writing the letter. And then requesting the person that the person should be able to articulate, all your goals clearly, so that the potential mentor will not waste any time in addressing what the issues you want to address in the course of your career. But I think you have addressed most of the issues in your draft letter, which I think is good enough. Well done, Margaret. Joke Adenuga.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to say thank you very much for this session. It's been really very informative, and coming to this newly, this is my first time of actually considering, being on a board, and I think it's because for myself, sideways movement has been, a feature, and I would like to put a stop to that, I think. So I have identified I have identified 5 people as mentors and 2 people as sponsors. They do include both men and women, and some people I have worked with before because they were on my board committee or as a board chairman, and I have seen that they're confident, they're fearless, they have transformation experience, and I would like to acquire that kind of those kind of skills. So the message that I'm trying to put across, that I've tried to sketch, is simply this. So, dear sir or dear madam, my name is Joke Adenuga. I have worked in so place. My experiences are this, and my future intention is to be on the board of this company or companies in our industry. Having watched your stellar career for some time now and admired your work ethic and integrity, I would be immensely honored if you would consider mentoring me with regards to my ambition to join the board of this company. I would welcome advice from you, other boards that I could look at, and then go ahead to ask, what would be a good time for you to meet, because I know that you're very busy. I would not take up too much of your time, so the duration of the meeting would be maybe 30 minutes or the time that you could spare. And if you're open to going ahead with this mentorship or sponsorship, we could meet regularly, half an hour, as and when would suit you. I wouldn't want to force.
Absolutely.
And that's my, and even though I don't live in the country, I do continue to keep up with the goings on of and all the events as much as I can.
Thank you. Excellent. But the thing we must always bear in mind is that for all our letters to mentors and sponsors, it should not always be only because we want to be on the board or senior position. There might be other soft skills we want to develop that will prepare us to be on the board. So we want to say specifically, you might have somebody who can help you to improve on your communication skill, analytical skills, and some other skills. So we should be able to, so that when you're able to develop those skills, it doesn't matter which board you now want to target. If it's an analytical, if someone with analytical skills they are looking for to be on the board on finance and things, you are there. If it's communication skill, you are there. If it is IT, so let us be able to look at skills we want people to mentor us, to develop us on, so that it prepares us for boards. Board positions are not things that are easily attainable. But if you already have those skills, it makes it easier for the sponsor to be able to, because the person you are mentioning now may not even be in a position to sponsor you to those boards. Okay. Someone else is, but that person can prepare you for the skills that will be required for the other sponsor that can take you into the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Chika.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for an eye-opening presentation so far. I have been able to identify mentors and sponsors, some who were my superiors years ago, and some who also have other skills that are not necessarily in my profession, in my professional area, but have been successful in corporate Nigeria, who I believe that one could learn something from. But concerning my letter, let me just read out the letter. And I have written it to a lady. So the letter goes, "Dear Madam, I trust you are well. I am a public health physician and a former country medical advisor of Unilever Nigeria. I greatly admire your success, having followed over the years your meteoric rise in corporate Nigeria. I'm enthusiastic to grow and desire to learn from your skills and experiences in order to prepare myself for a possible position on the board of an organization. It would be an honor if you would enter into a formal mentoring relationship with me. I would appreciate a meeting with you at a time convenient to you to discuss this if it meets with your approval. Thank you."
Now, Chika, is the person you are writing to, is it somebody that knows you, or it should be someone that just you found out either in LinkedIn or somewhere?
Okay, this particular one is not someone that knows me.
Okay, okay. Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. So because we need to be careful that if it's someone that knows you, then you want to find out whether the person has showed any interest in your career, personal career in the past. So
Okay.
that will determine whether the person will be interested in actually being a committed sponsor.
Okay.
Now, but if it's someone that is not someone you have met in the past, then it would be good if you, first of all, make a call and speak to the person.
Okay.
Before you make a formal letter.
Oh, I see. Okay, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Kofulelo.
Kulufelo, yes. Hi, how are you?
Fulelo. Okay, sorry.
Yes, I am from Johannesburg in South Africa. So I have identified 5 mentors and 4 sponsors. The men that I've chosen, there are, well, excuse me, sorry. Thank you very much, sir, for having this session and facilitating it. It was quite informative. And I'm learning quite a bit. So the mentors that I have chosen, these are Puti Mahanyele, and she is a woman leader in South Africa. She is the CEO of Ashanduka Group. Our President Cyril Ramaphosa, our pastor in the faith, and this is Pastor Chuk Sogoye, and Dr. Paul Coupe, who is well versed and traveled, and she's also in the prophetic office, and Mrs. Ibukuna Woshika as well, from a strategic and global perspective. And my sponsors, I had chosen Ayandan Zabula, who is quite a renowned member of many boards in South Africa. Mr. Danny Msiza from my local constituency, Adrian Gore, who is the current CEO of Discovery Limited, and Kenny Repson, who is the CEO of Discovery Invest South Africa. So this letter that I am writing now would be to Kenny Repson, who is my immediate manager or leader. And it says, good day, Mr. Repson. My name is Kolufelo Madimajaji. I am writing to you seeking your mentorship, seeking your sponsorship to attain a board leadership position for the organization, which I have named. I am a young dynamic individual with ambitions of serving as a pivotal addition to the board leadership. I am well versed in skills and issues relating to the fourth industrial revolution, as well as transformative strategies. I see myself serving on the board leadership and in the guidance and governance area. Your mentorship and sponsorship in issues relating to the wealth management industry would be a fascinating fusion to implement into my current knowledge and expertise portfolio. May I kindly request some of your time, perhaps at a monthly frequency at your next available date. I look forward to hearing from you and building a solid relationship. Kind regards from myself. That's it.
Excellent. Excellent. I think that addresses all the key issues you need to. But like I said earlier on, if it's not somebody you have met before and is just getting a letter from somebody from he will be a bit shocked as to who you are, doesn't know you. So it's always best if it's not someone you've known before or who knows you, to make a phone call, just a small, a 10 or 5 minutes phone call, introducing yourself and talking about it first. And then building a relationship before a formal letter can then go to him. Otherwise, if he receives a letter from the blues and reads it, well, he doesn't know who this fellow is and things, may not give it the same commitment that he would have, you are expected to get. So it's good before we send any such letter to have made a phone call and then maybe refer to that phone call, in the opening paragraph of your letter, because you would have told him you'll be sending him a letter to that effect. If it's somebody that knows you, then that is easier, that because in the course of your discussions, you would have mentioned it anyway. So you now make a formal letter to him. Either way, it's good to get the fellow familiarized with you and know who you are and maybe develop some interest in your career before specifically requesting for that. We have some questions here. While a sponsor can be any age, since influence is the major attribute, what do you think about the mentorship? Does age matter when it comes to mentorship? Can one be successfully mentored by a younger person? Well, age does not really matter for mentorship, because it depends on the skill and experience that person has. Because don't forget, we are not all having the same opportunities in life. It could be a younger person who has been able to pass through the ladder before you even got there, understands the business, understands the politics, understands the particular profession or function, and therefore will be in a better position to mentor you and help you to develop you and prepare you with the skills that you require to move to the next level. So age does not really matter. But in the case of this sponsorship, more often than not, you find that age plays a role, but still it's not significantly important. What's important is the experience, the connections, relationships each of these persons have to help you to move or maneuver or navigate through the complexities of your career to get to the point you want or to achieve your goal. Now, the next question here is, do you believe that after years of board and other experiences in one's professional life, it comes a time that due to the fast growing pace of global development, especially in the area of technology and digitalization, there may come a time that reverse mentoring may be the fourth leg to mentoring, coaching, sponsorship. Reverse mentoring being the fourth leg, just a thought. Well, I agree with you, because when you look at technology and digitalization today, if you want to get a techie to come onto the board for any, I know one or two boards I'm in and I was in, we're looking for a technology person. We are looking for those in their 30s and early 40s, because these are fellows who know it. And so when we're talking about technology, yes, I agree with you to be a reverse, because at that point, you're having the younger people, mentoring and helping to develop the older ones. I'll give you an example. I'm going to mention name here. Before the old man died, the Majekodumi of St. Nicholas Hospital, the old man once called me, who was at that time about 97 or so, called me and said he wants me to come and show him how to use the computer, because he wants to understand and know what is going on in his hospital. And I told Baba that, at this age, you don't really need it. He said, no, I need it. But that is reverse mentoring, because I then started mentoring him and showing him what to do and how to get all the information he required. So in that respect, I agree with you, Adela, in what you are saying. Any other questions or comments? Sorry. Let's get any other person. There's another one here. I'm wondering if it is more effective to send a message. Okay, let's listen to Omoyemi Ajayi. Then we'll then go on David Omowale David Ashiru.
Okay. Am I unmuted now? Am I unmuted?
Yeah, you're unmuted. You're unmuted.
Okay,
yes.
Good afternoon, sir. I really commend you for how you have tutored us and then you have prepared our minds, even as we go forth, in our various fields. For me, actually, in my own field as a legal practitioner, it is actually a little bit difficult to have a mentor or a sponsor, because I think I have met one or two people, particularly women, that I approached, and I actually indicated my interest, to be a mentee. And with the kind of response that I actually got from them, I was not pleased as such. Probably, maybe I made it oral. So, and from the lecture that we have had, today, probably I have to put it in writing so that I can approach them appropriately. So, because I felt a little bit discouraged, because they said, look, we have gone a long way. We did a lot of things. We also had our own sacrifice, and we have other people in our law offices that we also want to help, since you have your own law firm and all that. So I may not necessarily have that time to attend to you and everything. So it was a kind of a struggle for me to be able to reach, that kind of ladder that I actually wanted to get to, as a lawyer. So some couple of years ago, like about 4 or 5 years, so I went for some seminars or probably and some trainings. So I was able to meet a senior colleague in the industry, who is actually a male. So I didn't really write a letter, but just like what you have said, sir, I had to define, the whole relationship and everything. And he's been able to put me through, and he's always happy to see my success. even up to now. So for me, I do not really have, I cannot really identify 5 mentors or 5 sponsors right now. But the people that I would have loved, I have a lot of people that I would have loved them to be my mentors or to be my sponsor. But it would take a kind of it would take a kind of relationship, for you to have that kind of access to them, for them to fix an appointment with you, to talk to you, for you to be able to call them whenever you have issues, without requesting for a particular fee, because that is what happens with some senior colleagues right now. So if you go to them and then you want them to advise you on a particular matter and all that, particularly those of them who are already like 30, 40 years at the bar, sometimes they request for money, or probably they tell you that they want to share the profit with you. So I'm finding it a little bit difficult to have mentors and sponsors in that area, though I have 1 or 2 mentors or in other areas of practice. Then my letter, I just scribbled my letter right now. So can I go ahead, sir?
Please go ahead, please.
Okay, letter of sponsorship and mentorship. Dear sir, letter of sponsorship and mentorship. I wish to request for your kind permission to have you as a mentor and a sponsor. I have built a career in the legal field. I have studied and observed your personality and dedication to work. I indeed desire to have you as the mentor for your guidance, instructions, and advice. I shall indeed appreciate your kind response as to when you shall be available for further discussions. I thank you very much in anticipation. So I will improve on the letter, as time goes on. And thank you once more, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'll keep repeating here that for whoever you want to identify as your mentor, approach matters. I think the initial conversation in one form or the other, maybe over a social gathering, or structured and asking that I just want to have a chat, or make a phone call. Initial conversation is important, because just getting a letter, no matter even if you are very close to the person, just getting a letter from you and saying, I want you to be my mentor or sponsor, may not get the type of response you expect. What I suggest you do is, first of all, find out in a subtle manner during your conversation whether it's somebody who is interested in helping you to pursue your career. That interest has to be identified first before you want to now go forward with maybe formalizing it. For some of them, even if you are somebody you've never met, but you make a phone call and just talk about what your plans are, what you are doing and things, and why you think you want the fellow. From the response and things, you then decide whether it's somebody you want to continue the progress this issue with. Because in the process of discussing with the person, he will ask you 1 or 2 questions, or he or she will ask you 1 or 2 questions. And from your response and the reaction to your response, you will know whether a fellow is actually interested. So you're not wasting your time, because like you say, some are just thinking they're doing you a favor, but they forget that, some of them forget that they got there. You might have a sponsor that you may not know is your sponsor. You have sponsors that are invisible sponsors. You just like the person, you just believe the fellow can do the job, and you are out there just pushing the person's case. And then, because you see that there's a chance for that person to get to that position, you could then call the fellow and then start discussing with the person. So, but the process is if you are the one seeking, do an initial conversation before a formal request is made. And the way the initial conversation is made is such that you can see from the body language if it's the person you are, if it's physical, whether the fellow is interested, and then know whether you want to progress it. There's no having a sponsor that is may not be a sponsor because it gets there and destroys you further. You want a sponsor who really is interested in your career, you know. So mentors, well, a mentor in that case is somebody that's your profession, your skills, trying to develop your skills. He has certain experiences you want to get. So you are working with the person and you are getting those experiences and things. But for a sponsor, you've got to be very careful. It has to be somebody who is really interested in your career. It's not just anybody you just choose. Okay. We have one more here. Says here that I'm wondering if it is more effective to send a message requesting for mentorship or sponsorship, or to focus on finding someone who knows the person and could link or introduce. Then one can make a formal request for mentorship of that introduction. I would like your opinion. Yes, exactly what I've just said. Actually, if it's not somebody you can go and talk to, and you have someone that can talk to the fellow for you, then it's fine. But it's good to have established that the fellow is interested in helping you to pursue your career before you make a formal letter. Otherwise, you write a letter and the fellow, even if the fellow confirms, and you know that the fellow from the reaction, fellow is not really interested, it will be dangerous for you to have a sponsor, and you think you have a sponsor, and who goes out there does not project you well. So Omowale David Ashiru, I think I agree with you that it is good if it's somebody you do not know very well, or you do not have any personal relationship with, you think with someone who knows that fellow, who can then introduce and prepare the grounds for you to now make a formal request for mentorship or sponsorship. Any other any other comments or any other? Mary Akindolire.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you so very much for such an excellent session, sir, thus far. I just wanted to share a letter that I have quickly drafted to a colleague of ours who has who's had an excellent medical and administrative trajectory, and she's one of the ones I've picked as a mentor. And just as a brief introduction, say, dear Professor, Mrs. My name is Mary Akindolire, a consultant ophthalmologist with practical medical and hospital advisory experience spanning about 3 decades. I have watched your unusual, multidimensional medical and administrative career over the years with a lot of admiration. I'll be grateful if you would grant me a short audience at your convenience for the following purposes. 1, to mine from your wealth of experience. 2, to seek advice on professional decisions and options, including possibilities of leadership roles and opportunities in our ever changing area of work. I'll be happy to work with time and place that is convenient for you, knowing that you're an extremely busy person. Best regards, Mary Akindolire.
Excellent, excellent, Mary. I think you've addressed all the key issues that should be in the letter. But like I said, I'll keep repeating, there should be an initial chat so that the fellow is not just getting a letter from the blues. And then to refer to that initial chat, reference my discussion with you on this issue. My name is this again, and that you then go through all the items that should be in that letter, like you have done. So that way, initially you're already clear in your mind that the fellow is interested, and you're now making it formal, and it will be a strategic relationship from then on to achieve a specific goal, which sometimes also good to set in your mind when, for how long you want this to continue, so that you are not just a burden to anybody. So by the time you have achieved your goal, you can then maybe keep a platonic relationship, and then it shouldn't be a structured one anymore. And that is how relationship now build over, because you are now having a good relationship that is not based on trying to achieve any goal, but that you now rub minds with each other on issues.
Thank you so much, sir.
We have one other question here. I have two questions. Is it advisable for one to have more than one sponsor or mentor? Is it advisable to let them know of each other? Well, it depends on what the sponsor is for or the mentor is for. Well, if the sponsor is to, or mentor is to mentor your, mentor first. If the mentor is to help you develop certain skills, it could be skills which another mentor may not have the experience on. So you might have a mentor that's helping you for interpersonal skills. You might have a mentor that's helping you for communication styles. They might know each other, but it doesn't really matter, because you are not making them, you are not trying to compare them with each other in their areas of expertise. So that's different. Now, they can know each other. In the case of sponsors, more than one sponsor, well, again, like I said, you have sponsors that you may not even know they are your sponsors. They're out there, but they are pushing your case. They've just met you somewhere, and from the way you made you presented yourself, the way you performed during maybe in a session, and they can be sponsoring. Once your name is mentioned somewhere, they can rise up and then ensure that they are able to project you and put your name forward. So it doesn't mean that you cannot have you can have more than 3 or 4 sponsors in various areas. You may not even know some of them, but there's no need to start letting everyone know this is my sponsor or that is my sponsor. In the case of mentors, they have mentors for specific skills and experiences. So those ones are different. They can know each other. It doesn't really matter. Okay, any more? Now, can we then can we now move to our case study? Now, we have all read the case study and haven't spoken about mentorship and sponsorship. What kind of mentoring or sponsorship relationship are reflected in this case study? I'll be expecting individuals to give their answers. What kind of mentorship or sponsorship relationship are reflected in this case study? Mary?
Thank you very much, sir. It's really, this case study has been an eye-opener. First, I found it interesting that what I would refer to as foundational strategic grooming by her father, by Margaret Thatcher's father, as exemplified by all the things that her father ensured that she had. First, she groomed her, this second daughter of his, first being the political climber himself. The father started to, from an early age, first exemplify what this kind of leadership entails. He made sure he made life deadly serious, all about self-improvement and dedication to duty. He was himself a fanatically upwardly mobile politician, and he started to groom his daughter in that mold. He strategically ensured, even in her early education, that she went to a grammar school in the right side of town. He early engaged and interested her in politics and political development and global ideas, taking her to libraries, taking her to university extension lectures, even when she would have been thought to be too young for that kind of exposure. I find it interesting also that he had two daughters. He probably knew the one that he groomed in this manner. And it is interesting that it is said that he pushed Margaret and she responded with, and that his needs coincided with her temperament and her own ambition. This, I thought, was really foundational and strategic in the kind of mentoring that Margaret Thatcher got. I'll leave it at that. There's a lot more.
That's good, yes. Any other comments from anyone else? None? Okay. But if you go further, the other.
Yes, sir. Good evening. My name is Adaija. Thank you so much, sir, for the very enlightening session. I also just wanted to speak very quickly about the other type of a mentoring relationship that was reflected in this case study. And that was the one that she had with her former boss, Ian McLeod. I thought it was just, you know, a wonderful example of, you know, when someone takes a chance on you, you know, when a boss takes a chance on you, sees, you know, he was able to spot her talent very quickly and nurtured it. It was particularly touching that even though he knew he was dying, he made sure that the experience that he passed on to her during the short, I don't know what length of time they had together as a boss and or mentor and mentee, but in that short space, but in that space of time, he was able to, you know, spot her talent and nurture it. I like the fact that he also helped her. You know, there was something she said. She said that he helped her understand that she had to think about human nature. She had to factor in human nature in all her calculations, because really, with the kind of background that Margaret had, you know, our subject had, you can see that she was very, she was a no-frills sort of person, very, one might even say calculated or cold, but that was just a function of her background. She was, you know, raised to be a very no-nonsense sort of person. So I like the fact that Ian McLeod was able to teach her that she should always factor in the human nature aspect in all her calculations, and also helped her even with time management, and helped her to also, in terms of giving her arguments or what, you know, on the floor, he helped her to always know, you know, to get to the meat of the matter, not spend too much time going over, you know, being long-winded or anything, but just get to the, you know, get to it quickly. She would rehearse for a 30-minute speech, and, you know, he would tell her just at the point that she was going to stand up to speak that she only had 3 minutes. So those, so I thought that was a fantastic example of the mentoring relationship. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I think you both addressed it. So what about the mentoring and special relationship in this case facilitated? What about the relationship in this case facilitated positive growth for both the mentor and the mentee? Well, I think we'll skip that. Now, 4, what did Margaret Thatcher get in? How did she get involved in politics? Joker?
She got in politics through school. So this is when she went to Oxford and could not get onto the debating committee and went onto the Conservative committee.
Yes, and when she couldn't get into the debating committee, she joined the Conservative Association or whatever it was called, and then seized the opportunity to be inviting the leaders of the Conservative Party to come and talk to them.
To come and talk to them, yes.
Yes, and therefore she was at that point developing relationship within the party. So she was gradually preparing herself for politics.
Yes. May I also make a comment, sir, on the relationship that she had with Neve, that she had with Eri Neve. So it says, what struck me there, it says that he adopted her. So he basically took her under his wing. And I did a little bit more research and found out that he had actually tried to encourage 3 other people to go up against Heath, and none of them were willing to do so. But when he came across her, and this her ambition was actually realized, and so it to me that was like more of sponsorship than mentoring. So he did
mentoring, yes.
Mentoring. He did do a bit of mentoring, you know, telling her to avoid strong policy stance, but he was mostly working on her behalf. So he was introducing her to people, MPs at the members' bars and tea rooms. You know, he had the strategy, which really worked for her, and I really.
And that was a strong sponsor. That was a strong
quite
sponsor,
an eye-opening topic that we're looking at today. Thank you very much.
Sure. Omowale.
Mic check, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you for answering my earlier question, sir. So I wanted to talk about her father. So I'm going to go back to that. And
yes.
Just to mention 2 things. One, he was a mentor, but also a sponsor. Mentor because, you know, he spoke with her, and there was somewhere where they were talking about her say, you don't follow the crowd, you make up your own mind. So he was a mentor, he spoke with her, but he was also a sponsor. And what really piqued my interest about sponsorship is something that was said there, which you have also said today. It said, you know, he pushed her, she responded, but he said his needs coincided with her temperament. So a sponsor is also looking for something. And so that's why even in, you know, asking for a sponsor, there must be something in you. And just like Ms. Adenuga just said, you know, Aaron Neve had tried 3 other people, but they didn't give him what he wanted. So I thought it was interesting to see that.
Absolutely. Well, the question 5 is, what qualities of a good mentor are reflected by Ian McLeod? Stella? Stella, okay there? Stella, are you there? Okay, Margaret. Margaret, you are muted. Okay. Oh, you are still muted. Margaret? Can someone unmute Margaret, please? Good.
Hello, sir.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much, sir, for this opportunity. Question 5 please. What qualities of a good mentor are reflected in Leanne McLeod? First of all, our case study, Margaret Thatcher, came into the political arena with a very good educational background, as we all know, good qualification and good mentorship from her father. And when she made her first public appearance under Ian McLeod, he recognized that educational strength in her, which is what is a great plus in every endeavor. And then he gave her a lot of encouragement by always, applauding her when she gave those her speeches in Parliament. It came out like, this is an intelligent young woman. She's somebody we really look forward to having in our party. And he also taught her the value of having the right people around her, beginning with him, Leanne McLeod himself. Taught her the tactics, political tactics that she needed, which helped her to grow in her political career. And so for me, that's a very strong mentor we have in Leanne McLeod.
Yes, yes, very well indeed.
Exactly. Margaret was a focused woman. When she saw these qualities in this man and tended towards him, she blanked out on every other comment or negativity that was around her, maybe in subtle ways, sexual harassment or whatever, from both men and women, whatever kind of obstacles or challenges that were there. She focused on this man with all his good intentions, and so she was able to fly politically in her position, and so she became a 3-time Prime Minister of Great Britain. So those are the qualities of a good mentor.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
sir. I think I saw somebody saying that there was another mentor for her. Okay, because I think the person was talking about Edward Heath, which for me, I'm not sure whether that was a mentor, but at least he sponsored her in a number of issues in the House. However, don't forget that Edward Heath had a very difficult personality, and she had to be very, very careful because she knew her future in politics was in his hands and could destroy her future in politics. So she maintained a very good professional relationship and avoided any awkward, potentially awkward situation with Edward Heath. So, and eventually she had her way. Now, question number 6, what qualities of a good mentee are reflected in Margaret Thatcher? Chika. Chika.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes. So the qualities of a good mentee that were reflected in Margaret. She took on every assignment she was given with zeal and with commitment and performed it efficiently. And she didn't allow inconvenience to stop her, even when it wasn't convenient, even when she had her twins, even when her father died. She just took everything that she was asked to do at every time and just faced it and did it with that focus, that laser focus. In fact, I remember the story of the meeting she had And in the middle of the meeting, she had to ask, what is the time? I need to go and buy bacon for Dennis. And to their surprise, she left them and went and bought it and came back and continued as though nothing happened. So she had that laser focus, and she did everything with commitment, with efficiency, with excellence. And whatever her mentor required for her to do, she did it. The lessons he taught her when she said, the politics of editing is very important. You know, it's not just to get what you want to do done, and the timing of bringing any bill, everything that he asked her to do, she just followed and did as she was done and as she was asked to do, and showed a lot of respect to her mentor as well.
Yes. And she, her speed, efficiency, and knowledge warmed her to her superiors, because you can see this in the house. You know, when she started by being the first well, I think she was under the pensions when she was in charge of the pensions. She was reading out statistics, comparing the UK situation with other countries of the world, and the speed and efficiency with which she was, her commitment to her job was such that she was warmed up to all her superiors, even those who are her competitors knew that she was a hard nut to crack. So she was a good mentee to her mentors. Now, what challenges did Margaret Thatcher? Oh, sorry, it looks like there are some other questions here. Sorry. I have one here. Does an individual of influence keeping you in close range of your particular skill set equate to them being your sponsor, as seen in the Thatcher and Heath relationship? Does an individual of influence keeping you in close range, okay, for your particular skill set equate to them being your sponsor, as seen? Well, Thatcher and Heath. Well, I only assume I understand what the question is here, but Thatcher and Heath, like I said, she was very, very careful because she knew Edward Heath had a very difficult personality. She knew that being the party boss, he held her future in his hands. And so she ensured that she maintained a very good professional relationship and made sure that there was no awkward situation, and just buried herself in her job. But at the appropriate time, she was able to hit hard. She was very strategic in everything she did. Also, the next question again is, can individuals sponsor you subconsciously and catapult your career unintentionally? Is there any benefit in nurturing such relationships? Like I said, there are some sponsors that are not really known to you. So they may have catapulted you unintentionally, thinking that they are trying to bring you down. But in the meantime, maybe put you in a difficult position where you now excel and you therefore shine like a star to all those that are in a position to move you to the next role. So to whether you should nurture such relationship, well, again, you can nurture the relationship, but you have to be very careful. So to know where to draw the line and what to say and what not to say. So it's just, the relationship should be strategic and be one in which you should be very conscious of everything you're doing with respect on intended sponsor. The next one is, What challenges did Margaret Thatcher face as a woman in politics? Daniela?
Okay, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I know we have moved on to the next question, but I actually wanted to contribute to the previous one.
Go ahead, go ahead, it's fine.
Okay, so in my opinion, I see that as a mentor, Margaret Thatcher actually displayed a lot of emotional intelligence this is very key when dealing with people, especially looking at the fact that she was always, most of the time at the initial stage of her career, sidelined and given the seemingly unimportant task. But, you know, she saw, using emotional intelligence, she got out not all roles come with political influence, but some of them come with positional influence as well. So she saw all of that and prepared herself for the future. That's my opinion. Tying it to, she didn't let anything waive her commitment, and she was constantly looking for ways to self-improve. And this was due to a dedication to duty. And she used the barriers that she encountered to act as a pedestal for her success and her growth in her career. So that's my contribution to that previous question.
Excellent, excellent, thank you. So that takes us to the next question. What challenges did Margaret Thatcher face as a woman in politics? Omoyemi.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I actually wanted to contribute on question number 6.
6,
because,
okay.
Yes,
go ahead,
about Margaret Thatcher.
Yes.
Actually, I never knew much about Margaret Thatcher until now, but I do remember that people do refer, tough women and resilient women as Margaret Thatcher, when I was very young. So I thought probably she was a boxer or something. Then until I now, I grew up from time to time. Then I now began to understand the fact that she was a politician, in breathing and all that. But for this presentation and this that we have had, today, I really thank you very much, sir. So what are our qualities? What actually amused me, about her could be put together, in a different sentences and phrases in this book. Number one, on page 5, it says, they never forgot our empathy. She never forgot their names or anything else about them. Even by politician standards, she has always been exceptional for remembering without notes personal details, although it was her first race in Finchley. This is very, very inspiring for me, because every good thing about her, I have put them down, and I feel like for me as a woman, particularly, a woman, I need to learn from her. Then secondly, page 6 says, Thatcher was more than ready for the rough and tumble, but her first concern was getting a maiden speech on the belt. Then another thing to note about her is also in page 7. It says she built her argument with a compelling array of data, a method that would become a trademark. Still on that page 7, it says quick, thorough briefing became a trademark. Another thing about her, it says Thatcher wrote her speeches in longhand, revised them, then wrote them again on small note cards she could hold in her hand. The notes were a safeguard. By the time she had her remarks on cards, she had them committed to memory. And only rarely, when she had to recite a string of figures, referred to the notes. This is something I have actually learned, from her also. Then page 8 says, she was more radically right than the government and never shied from pointing out where our views differed. Then another thing about her on the same page 8, it says, Thatcher's hard work began to pay off when Prime Minister Macmillan offered her a post. You know, these are some of the best qualities that actually Thatcher possessed as a mentee. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay. Does anyone have any comment again on question 6? So can we now move to question 7? What challenges did Margaret Thatcher face as a woman in politics? She really faced a lot of challenges. Valerie?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes. Good afternoon. I'm sorry that I want to take us back to number 6.
Okay.
Because the one thing that I thought was very important was her passion, the attribute, the quality of a good mentee. It was her passion, which was reflected in the fact that during the Dartford contests, it took 3 attempts before she finally won.
True.
And it's easy for someone to give up at the first sign of failure. And it even shows, it reflects, even here in our own politics. We have a lot of women who actually go into politics, but once they fail the first time, you don't hear of them again. And this also reflects in other areas and spheres of endeavor and you know, in women in our careers. So I think the passion, she never gave up at any point in time, and that passion kept her going till she eventually got to the pinnacle of her career. So that was one thing that really struck me. That's all.
Great. Any other comment on question 6? Okay.
All right. Yeah, thank you, sir. So my comment on question 6, I would also try to read it into 7, is the part where, you know, she worked with, I think it was East, I think. And, you know, yes, and it continued to pile up a lot on her. I mean, enough to discourage her, enough to make her give up, you know. It kept on changing her between ministries, moving her around. And, you know, that I believe would have been a very challenging situation for her. But she remained resilient. And, you know that paragraph, although I'm trying to locate it right now, actually ended up saying that, you know, he did not even realize he was packing up a lot of heat for himself, because, I mean, her persistence and the fact that she continued going ahead without, you know, without considering backing down, which is what, you know, a lot of people will probably consider. And especially as women, sometimes, you know, we are limited because of the stage we find ourselves in life. Sometimes, you know, some of these opportunities, when they come, or whether the opportunities or, you know, they present themselves as problems because of the limitations we have, we tend to give up. But she didn't give up. And I think that was a very good quality of her, coming from her as a mentee. The other thing I wanted to add, which I believe also talks to the fact about the challenges she faced as a woman in politics. I think the part where she had to, again, continue to juggle a lot, and she was hosting the meeting, and, you know, like someone already talked about, when she had to go and pick up bacon for Dennis. Yeah, someone offered that, you know, someone could get it, but she said no, they would not know the particular one. So it cast my mind back to, you know, something I read somewhere a few days ago about the fact that, you know, as women, we are always juggling things. And, you know, the truth is that sometimes what we are juggling are really, you know, the balls we are juggling, they're either glass balls or plastic balls. And the ability to be able to manage them and know that, you know, at a particular point, there are some things you can let slide, but, you know, it does not mean that the following day they don't become the glass balls that you cannot drop. So I think she was able to, juggle all of those together, and that is the quality I see in her here. Some of the decisions she had to take were difficult. They were difficult for her. They were difficult for her family. There was the part where her children were being taunted as well. And I don't think any mother or would have enjoyed that sort of situation, but she was focused. And I think that's how she was able to overcome the challenge. But those challenges were definitely there.
Thank you. Right. Well, we've talked about overcoming the challenges. Basically, we know her hard work were part of what helped her to overcome those challenges. She was undaunted. Damilola, you wanted to say something? Damilola?
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, okay. So thank you so much. It's been very insightful this afternoon. I've enjoyed listening to a lot of the contributions. I just want to quickly add to the point 6 on the bit about the qualities of a good mentee that she demonstrated. There was a concerted effort on her part to choose her battles wisely. She, even though there were times that she didn't quite agree on certain things, like you mentioned in the first part of the lecture when you talked about if there are certain things that do not really stand in the way of your values and you can compromise them for the overall good and collective peace, that we should be emotionally intelligent enough to recognize such. And I could see that she was very conscious of that. She didn't make the mistake of lining up enemies for herself on our way up, and I thought that was commendable. Also, one other quick thing was that when somewhere on I think page 8, the very last line, said something about a lot of the challenges posed to her, and then her comment to her sister was that when you're offered a job, you either accept it or you are out. And then I'm asking myself, okay, I'm trying to put that within the context of what we face today. So maybe this is leading me to another question. Where do you draw the line? Because they were heaping the work on her, and knowing fully well that she was someone with a 20-hour work schedule. They said she had only 4 hours of sleep. She went on and on and on, which is good. It stood her out. She was able to present herself as a knowledgeable person. But then, because as women, we are having to pay an extra price to be noticed and to climb up there, where exactly do we then begin to draw the line and know when to actually stop? So permit me to just drop that as a question here as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's listen to Ifeanyi, our chairperson. Ifeanyi.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. You can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you again. I'm going to add my own little thanks, or big thanks, to what everybody else has said. In everything we have said, I'm responding to how did she overcome her challenges. Because for us as women, and particularly in WIMBIS, this is what we're about, how we overcome these challenges. Because to go a little biblical, I believe that God created all of us equal. He gave us different responsibilities and different tools with which to deal with these responsibilities. But cerebrally, I believe God created us all equal, male and female. So what I found very interesting, and this is for me, tools she has used to overcome those challenges, is in everything we've said about Margaret Thatcher. We've talked about how strategic. The word strategy kept coming up. Now, I'm a strong believer that what children learn from home, they learn it from home, not by what you tell them, but by what they live. And her father lived his strategy from the day he took her on board, maybe from the day she was born, or from the day he realized what her
what potential she had. Yes.
Well, yes, even before the potential, the actual who she was, the attributes she exhibited. So she learned strategy from home. So it was second nature to her. And if you're extremely strategic, it's actually, you will actually even see the challenges before they appear, and you're better able to deal with them. So one of the things we also learned is that she cultivated relationships. She wasn't someone you would naturally gravitate to, but you, as in life, as in business, as with everything else, you can cultivate relationships. She was strategic, but she doesn't come across as being cold or distant while she's cultivating you. So there was the bit about how she would visit and spend only 10 minutes in your home, and you feel as if she spent the whole day with you. So again, there was strategy even in the cultivation of the relationships. Now, if she's I particularly liked the comment about her first day as Finchley MP. The old school, old style, old boys never rocked the boat and never expected to find a woman, especially this woman, in a position of significance. So again, being a woman, they didn't see her coming. And because she was strategic and was adept at cultivating relationships, she would have used that to her advantage. Her memory, those are things. Because I have always said that in life, everything is personal. No matter what anybody tells you, it's always personal. So she would have grasped that, being groomed by her father, and she would have used that as well to her advantage. She was always extremely well prepared, always extremely well prepared. So when you come into an environment where people are a bit cautious or uncomfortable about you, people tend to, even if they don't like you, they will respect you. And I think that would have gone a long way also for her to overcome any of the challenges that would have been natural challenges just by being that consummate who she was. And again, her no-nonsense background, she cut away with the frippery. That's the stereotype of women wasting time, talking, taking lengths of time. She just got on with it. And again, her grooming with the which of her bosses, the one that said to her that she had 3 minutes to deliver a 30-minute speech, also showed her that she just needed to just get on with it. And I think she did that. And I think all of that would have helped to overcome the challenges. Oh, one last thing. Sorry, her maiden speech. Yes, I like that as well. Her maiden speech, she realized that in Parliament, that's your first entrance, your first speech, your first opening can either make or break you. So instead of worrying about other things, she just focused on getting it right. And she was lucky enough to be called early enough. And with that speech, yes, she was able to capture that. So that already would have removed some challenges, would have taken some challenges out of it. Thank you. And thank you very much, Mr. Ikazaboh. Thank you very, very much. This has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Well, like we said here, she had no real friends. She cultivated relationships and always well organized and well groomed and very strategic. Now let's look at questions 9 and 10 quickly. What kinds of capacity building are demonstrated in this case? And can we attribute Margaret's rise to leadership of the Conservative Party by beating it to sponsorship? And what role did Erin Neves play? Will we get any answers? Okay. Capacity building. A lot of capacity building was demonstrated here, really, because she ensured that she built, like we said earlier on, cultivating relationships, strategic, and ensured that there's a point when she had to go to study law, building her capacity. That's part of the capacity building. At a point she had to go and study law. Now, is it Folashade I saw? Folashade? Okay. Oh, Shito. Okay, Folashade. Okay. Please unmute. Okay, fine.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I just wanted to speak about number 9. Before I do that, I wanted to say a big thank you for this session. It's been very informative and very useful. And I think, a lot of us have learned a lot from today. So I wanted to speak about number 9 in terms of capacity building. I think she was very intentional about developing herself. She started off very socially awkward. If we read about her university days, she was quite kind of weird and socially awkward. But what she did was she realized that and she went about, developing her social skills and becoming more emotionally intelligent. So by the time we read more into the case, we then realize, she goes into people's houses, she's connecting with people. She won quite significantly when she eventually won the election in Finchley. The case mentions the fact that she remembered whose cousin broke the leg, and things like that. So she actually spent a lot of time developing, that personality side of her, of her character. You already mentioned the fact that, academically, she went back to study law. She went to, understand tax and more technical skills. But then if we read further, another thing she recognized was that data is power. So what she did was she spent a lot of time understanding data, understanding statistics, which was very important in the line of work that she did, which is why she was able to grab a lot of people's attention because, people were just really impressed by the fact that she had the information. And she added that with a bit of emotional intelligence. So she knew when to tune in a joke or say something that would, pick up their attention, just when she thought they were getting bored. So she spent, I think she really invested and was very intentional about developing herself.
Thank you, Folashito. Kulufelo, yeah, our South African lady.
Hello, everyone. I think what particularly stands out, and I'd like to contribute to question 9 as well, is when Margaret decided to stand up in, I think the section calls it the coup, where she stood up as an opponent to Heath. She had said it herself that she didn't see in a woman leading the opposition or leading a prime minister role in the UK. However, when she realized that the Conservative Party were on their 3rd losing streak, that a change had to happen, and in that, seeing that opportunity and seeing that space, that also created that capacity within her to build up herself, to be the unexpected candidate that would, however, change the status quo at that point in time. So I think it's also around identifying those areas of potential and opportunity and developing yourself to kind of fulfill where you see the gap to get into that space as well.
Can we also attribute that to sponsorship?
Yes, because I don't think she was able to do it all by herself, but in raising her hand to say, yes, I am available, it dictated the people who were willing to sponsor her to say, well, there's someone who's actually willing to fly the flag and be our set man or woman in this particular instance. Let us do something to actually make a difference.
Good. So I think we've covered almost everything, except if there's any other comment or from anyone. Thank you very much, everyone, for your contributions, for your comments. I want to thank you all. I hope we have been able to gain from this training session. And if you still have any more questions you need to ask, my email address can be gotten from the WIMBY Secretariat, so we can discuss other issues. Thank you very much indeed. So I will now hand over to the Secretariat.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cecilia Akintomide, and okay, now my video is back. My name is Cecilia Akintomide, and I have the distinct honor to give the vote of thanks. This has been a fantastic session, and I'd like to express our deep appreciation to Mr. Ikazaboh for taking the time to walk us through a strategic and game-changing aspect of our careers, particularly our board careers. The take-homes are profound. I have had to do a lot of reflection preparing for this, but I must say that the real aha moment was actually during the discussions today. I'd like to thank Mr. Ikazaboh for being a great he for she, a great champion, and being a leader ready to mold and create future leaders, particularly in the boardroom. You shared your experience being a mentor and sponsor to many. And this is what I must say came through, that this wasn't just someone speaking about what they read in a book. This is what you have done and that I have had the privilege of seeing you do. I also want to appreciate the Wimboard committee, of which I am a member, and the Institute for highlighting such an important aspect of becoming board ready and sustaining our place at the board table. And finally, I'd like to convey our appreciation to each of the participants, each of the attendees, for recognizing the importance of this soft power and lever as we strategically succeed in our board level aspirations. I wish us all the best, and do let us look out for each other. God bless us all, keep well, stay safe, and live ready. Thank you very much.